And we're off. We're leaving North Cape Yacht Club in Lake Erie. It's in the western end. It's a yacht club that split off from the Toledo Yacht Club. Has a great sailing program for adults and youth, and a lot of good racing. Hi, I'm David. This is Cindy. We're on Nemesis, and we're headed north. We've just left North Cape Yacht Club. We're sailing across Lake Erie to the Detroit River. We'll go up through the Detroit River, across Lake St. Clair, up the St. Clair River into Port Huron, and then into Lake Huron and head north at that point. And we will keep you posted on how our trip is going as we move along. I'm going to show you a few of the historic spots along the way as we move along on our journey. So stay tuned, and I'll give you some information as we go on how we do it and what we see along the way. The Enrico Fermi power plant on the west end of Lake Erie. It's named after the Italian nuclear physicist Enrico Fermi. In 1938, he won the Nobel Prize for his work in nuclear reaction. They started building the plant in 1956. And in 1966, I can remember it had a partial meltdown. They had to shut down the nuclear reactor. They took an x-ray of it. They thought that they saw a crushed beer can in the nuclear reactor. When they finally did get the reactor shut down and tore it down, they found out it was a part of the reactor that had broken off and was keeping the fuel rods from being able to be retracted, and so that's what caused the meltdown. They took that nuclear reactor out and have since built a new nuclear reactor. The two towers that are steaming are the cooling towers, and the nuclear reactor is in the square building. This is the Detroit Lighthouse. It's marking the entrance to the Detroit River. It was built in 1875. Before that, there was a lightship station here. It's called Bar Point Shoal. They stationed that lightship here in 1865. If you listen closely, you can hear the foghorn blowing. Okay, now it's not going to do it. As we look north from the Detroit River Lighthouse, we're looking into the Detroit River, which starts off with the Livingston Channel, and we currently have a freighter that's southbound, headed out into Lake Erie. This freighter is the K.E. Barker. It's an older freighter. You can tell by the bridge deck is in the forward part of the ship, where the newer ones put the bridge deck on the stern. He's currently headed to Toledo. Up ahead of us we have the Livingston Channel. It's the downbound channel. We currently have a tug in the channel, and so off to the right is the Amherstburg Channel. So the freighters go up that channel and come down the downbound channel. And in between that, we have Bobolo Island. Back when I was a kid, which was many moons ago, there was an amusement park on Bobolo Island. We used to have a ship that would take us back and forth to the island called the Bobble Boat, and we'd have fun at the amusement park. That has since been sold off, and now the island they're building homes on it, and there's a ferry that goes back and forth from Amherstburg. We're coming into the entrance of the Livingston Channel. It's about 3 miles long. It was built back in the early 1900s, opened up in 1912. They built this by building a coffer dam on each end. They used dynamite and steam shovels to clear it out and pile the rocks up on the end. I find that amazing that they were able to do that. And now the freighters come down this. This is the downbound channel. Over near Amherstburg, there's the upbound channel, and it has a few curves in it, so they probably had trouble negotiating that going downbound when two ships were passing. It was narrow, so they built this, and Livingston was in charge of the freighters at that time, and so he was in charge of and instrumental in getting this built back in 1912. Another freighter in the Livingston Channel. This is the Spruce Glen, and you can tell this is a newer freighter because the navigation station is in the aft part of the ship. Out of Montreal. And he doesn't give way in the channel at all. He stays in the center, and we have to get off to the side or be crushed. When I was a kid, we had a 15-foot boat called a Corvette by MFG, and it had an 85-horse Johnson on the back, which was a big engine at the time, a lot of power. We used to water ski up and down this channel, the Livingston Channel. All those white dots up in there, those are swans. They must come here to mate, leave their babies. When I went up and down the river in 1970, I never saw any swans. Now there's thousands of them. They're putting a new bridge across the Detroit River. It's called the Gordie Howe. They've got the uprights finished, but they haven't finished the middle of it yet. And if you look beyond that Gordie Howe, you can see the Ambassador Bridge in the background. It's supposed to be finished. Gordie Howe is supposed to be finished in 2025. Ambassador Bridge was built in 1929. It's the busiest international border crossing in North America. Here's the Ambassador Bridge with the Detroit in the background. Detroit was founded in 1701 by French colonists for fur trading. It was a fur trading post. Detroit City. Detroit City. It was settled by the French settlers in 1701 as a French trading post. It's the Renaissance Center. It's a GM building. It used to be. Cobo Hall at the bottom. Looks like they're building a new building. This is the Manitoulin, named after the island that we are headed for. It's the largest freshwater island in the world. This is the Stroh's Brewery, where some of Detroit's finest beer's been brewed. On Belle Isle, this is Dawson's Great Lake Museum. It's pretty cool, been in there before. A lot of maritime. They even have information about DN ice sailboats. They have a movie about DN ice sailboats, the hydroplanes, and the Port Huron to Mackinac race. And then off to the side, there's a Miss Pepsi, one of the hydroplanes, is on display there. I think the Detroit River is pretty cool. There's a fountain out in the water with condos in the background. We need more of this. This is Bayview Yacht Club. They just tore down their clubhouse and built a new one. Haven't been there yet to be able to check it out, but it's in my plans. They are famous for hosting the Port Huron to Mackinac sailing race. Downstream from them, I won't be able to get a picture of it because we'd have to go down there and turn around and come back. But it's the Detroit Yacht Club. They claim to be the oldest yacht club in America, founded in 1868. It's a beautiful building and very nice yacht club to belong to. At the top of the river, we've come out into Lake St. Clair. It's about 20 miles across, so you can't see shore from the other side. The freighters cross, they stay in a channel that goes directly across the lake. The rest of the lake is shallow, usually 12 feet deep or so you can sail most of the lake. But you have to be careful in some areas not to get into too shallow of an area. Freighters cannot venture from the channel. Day 2, it's July 11th? July 11th. We spent the night at Great Lakes Yacht Club, and we are left in the morning at about 7 a.m. and we are sailing across Lake St. Clair for the St. Clair River, and we've got about 12 knots of wind right now with just the head sail out, doing about 5 knots. Good sail. We're currently in the St. Clair River. We're passing Oganack. That's where they built the Chris Craft runabouts. They're beautiful mahogany boats. You should look those up. We're going to go into St. Clair because the Port Huron Yacht Club is full. The 70-foot Mackinac race boats are coming in and going to take up all the space. Got the Algoma Guardian coming downstream. We were planning to go to the Port Huron Yacht Club in Port Huron, but a couple of the 70s, they're 70-foot Santa Cruz 70s that do the Port Huron to Mackinac race are going to show up, so they're taking up all the dock space. So we've decided to go into St. Clair and spend the night. We'll get up early in the morning, do the rest of the river. It's about 13 miles out to the lake from here, and take off a little bit later. It looks like the winds are strong out of the north in the morning, so that'll probably work out good for us. All is good, making good plans. Good morning, everyone. we just left St. Clair, 8 o'clock in the morning. Had to go through a bridge, so they open it at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's the first bridge opening. And we are headed to Port Huron. We're gonna get some fuel in the boat, and then we are gonna carry on and head out into Lake Huron. And we plan to sail through the night, and we are hoping to make it all the way to Presque Isle. We should be in Presque Isle by about noon, I would think. My friend tells a story about this place. About 30 years ago, they were sailing down the river, and the guy was standing on that deck waving them over. And so they took down the sails and they went over and found out that the guy was washing the windows. They said, "Oh, we thought you were waving us over for breakfast." And he said, "Well, if you're hungry, come on in. I'll make you guys breakfast." This is the newest style of freighter. They put a tug in the back of what looks like a freighter, call it a barge, and that way they don't have to have as many people working on the ship. Per union, on freighter you have to have 29 men, or people, I'm sorry, ladies. But on these they can do it with fewer people.